afternoon. Welcome to the show. I'm Melissa Ridgen, and today we are putting Indigenous tourism in focus. The pandemic hit hard, and our tourism operators took a severe blow. But it's a new year, and there's new momentum as we look ahead with some optimism that the worst is behind us, and life can get back to some semblance of normal soon, as many provinces are starting to reopen. The Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada is coming out of the gates hot with 22 must-see attractions that they've mapped out across the country as we all get out and get to enjoying life again. We're going to hear from the association that put this handy list together, and we're talking to some of the tourism operators from coast to coast to coast who are on that list, who are excited to host you if you're in their neck of the woods. We went to visit one ourselves, one of these Indigenous tourism operators, Savannah Kelly and I from our social media team. We went to Sayzoons. It's a Métis-owned outdoor adventure camp in the heart of Red River Métis country on the Crow Wing Trail. That's just south of Winnipeg. But before we get to that, we should mention that yesterday was National Braiding Day, and today I'm wearing my braids for Donna Desjarlais, who was on our show last week. She is a Kookum from Sandy Bay First Nation. She was made to hide her braids for government photo ID, and she wants a day for all of us to wear our braids in solidarity, just like we have a ribbon skirt day. We asked you to show us your braids, and you certainly did not disappoint. Jesse Andrushko, our social media editor, is going to be on the show later to show off all of the braids that you showed us. So the Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada has just put out this list of 22 experiences to look forward to in 2022. The list spans coast to coast to coast, like I'd said. Joining us right now is Keith Henry, president of the Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada. Keith.
Oh.
How are you? Good to see your face. We've only spoken on the phone up to this point. Nice to see you. I'm wondering if you, there's this list, everything from things to do outdoors, food, animals, plants, you name it, it's on here. How would you possibly choose the short list for this?
Well, I mean, there's several hundred across this country of Indigenous-owned businesses, right? Whether they're Métis, First Nation, or Inuit. The reality is what we want our Indigenous communities and your viewership to know, as well as the rest of the world, is that we have some amazing ways that Indigenous culture is shared, regardless of which community it's from. It's done authentically. It's done in, obviously to support local jobs in the community. And more than ever, we need support. I mean, the pandemic, is, I think you mentioned at the outset, has been really difficult for our businesses. Many of our businesses were the hardest hit within tourism, because a lot of our previous customers prior to the pandemic hitting in 2019 were international. So now more than ever, we want Indigenous people, non-Indigenous Canadians, to try and think about another way of learning about this country. And I say this all the time. I mean, yes, there's optimism on the horizon, and tourism is fun and all these other things. But the truth is, I really feel that a lot of our businesses provide such a strong platform for Canadians and all of us to reconcile. And I really feel passionately about that. It's very important.
Some of what is on the list, I guess, and this is probably puts you in a tough position, but I'm going to ask it anyways. On this list, what are some of the things that you personally would think that's something I'd like to go and test out?
Well, I mean, you take a community. I know you're going to interview some other colleagues of mine, so I won't say their particular experiences.
Smart.
And every business in the country is great, but you take a community of Wendake in Quebec. The Huron-Wendat people. They've got the hotel, the restaurant, the cultural center. You can stay in a replica version of what was an authentic longhouse right there. And it's about learning, and you have fun, and families can go there, and they can spend an evening, and they can enjoy time together. And it's done in such a respectful way, and it supports the local community. The hotel has about 120 people working there, mostly from the community. I mean, these are real jobs, real opportunities. So I think of things like that are amazing, and I've been there many times, and I've gone personally there many times. I love that particular location. Or you can go to the polar opposite. You can go up north, Tundra North Tours, and see the reindeer, and learn how they do sort of outdoor adventure and how they survive on the land, and they make it fun to do some of the sport, and then actually creating an igloo that you stay in, and then all that sort of stuff. So it's one extreme to the other in terms of like the different kinds of culture and different kind of experiences for visitors.
Tell us a little bit about just, where does Indigenous tourism, where does it fare in the bigger picture of tourism in this country?
Yeah, I think a lot of Indigenous viewers may find it interesting, or non-Indigenous watching today may find it interesting that tourism is very large. It was one of our largest, economic drivers for the entire country. I mean, 1 in 10 jobs in Canada was created through tourism. Now, what does that mean? It was about pre-2019, it was about 100 billion in direct GDP, so jobs and sales at the tills of many businesses. And within that, Indigenous tourism was about 2% of that sale. We were about 1.9 billion in direct GDP. So we had 1,900 businesses in the country, some of which we're talking about today, whether it's cultural centers, hotels, outdoor adventure, you name it. And 1,900 of those were Indigenous owned and operated, providing jobs, supporting local culture, supporting artisans, you name it. And they provided about 40,000 jobs. So this has been big business for many of our entrepreneurs and community-owned enterprises for many years.
Well, we are so thankful that you could join us today, and we're very happy to have some of the entrepreneurs from that list that you were just talking about who are coming on our show here too. Keith, thank you so much.
Check out destinationindigenous.ca to learn more.
Love it. So if you're out on Vancouver Island and you might want to swing by Coastal Rainforest Safaris near Campbell River, BC to check out wildlife and learn a little bit about Kwakwaka'wakw culture, joining us now is Mike Willie to tell us more. Mike. Oh, hey, Mike. He can hear me. I'm very curious, Mike. So I want to know the backstory to how Coastal Rainforest Safaris got going. How did you come up with the idea for this? And just tell us a little bit about what we would experience there.
Yeah, so the way Coastal Rainforest Safaris is right now was we had to pivot from going from a nice, luxurious, multi-day glamping safaris. Because of the international travel, like Keith said, the international travel is our main clientele, to day trips, to Zodiac day trips out of Port Hardy, which is on the northern tip of Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
So the idea, is to partner with First Nations to build that capacity in tourism. We realize that tourism is the economic driver and has been in our territories for many, many, many years. It's just that we weren't doing it. Other non-natives, non-First Nations were doing it within our own territories. So now it's us showing the world whose territory this is, where the animals lay, right? And so if you come out with us, we do a day tour out of Port Hardy. We do sea otters, as you can see behind you, sea lions, orcas, humpback whales, and just the scenery. When the swells crash up on the rocks and the water shoots straight up into the air. There's so much beauty in one of our tours, and most of all is the First Nations culture, like the old archaeological sites that you can see out there, just remnants of the past for thousands and thousands of years.
This sounds, the co-producer on the show with me, Beverly Andrews, and I were talking about like this. We would love to come out and do this. Just the pictures, the whole idea of it, just to experience all of this. You were saying that COVID has kind of made you shift a little bit to kind of the day trips and stuff, not those big luxury glamping vacations. Is that on the horizon to return?
Yes, it's on the back burner for now, but yes, definitely there is a market for that. A lot of our partners, we had to sadly tell them, their international partners, that they were like, "Are you guys still going? Are you still going?" Right? And we had to say no. We had to put that on the back burner for now. And Coastal Rainforest Safaris is in partnership, and Keith talked about reconciliation. And my business partner, he's not First Nations, right? However, he's been in the tourism industry for years and years and years. So I have a lot to learn from him. Mm-hmm. And together this is a really good reconciliation story, right? Because together we want to build that capacity, train and employ the local Indigenous people on the northern tip of Vancouver Island.
Yeah. Well, and this is it. This is the other thing. Like, do you think that there's a greater, speaking to your point on reconciliation, do you think that there's a greater appetite now for non-Indigenous visitors to Canada or Canadians to be experiencing First Nations culture and supporting First Nations businesses?
Yes, absolutely. It's been baby steps for many years, but I think the climate has changed where people want to know about First Nations, not only in British Columbia, but all across Canada. And they do want to know about the atrocities that happened. And when you come on our tours, we don't hold back. You know, we do share those the residential schools, the potlatch ban, smallpox epidemic. But also we want to end off in a good note too. So like, this is where we are, right? We're building capacity. We're going beyond. And they really love it. They really do. And I own Seawolf Adventures as well, and that's what we find with them as well. We had a lot of domestic clientele, we've never seen that before. And I just think they're ready. Even in British Columbia, people are ready to learn about our Indigenous history.
I love that. I love to hear that. So what's the best time of year to come see you? Do you operate year round, or is there a different, if you come during these few months, you'd see this. If you come during these few months, just give us a little rundown of that in case people at home are planning a trip out to the island and want to make this part of their vacation.
Well, the wildlife is so abundant on the northern tip of Vancouver Island. The orcas come later, maybe in July, but we're open in June. And you could see everything else, less orcas until July, right? But the sea otters are there. The sea otters are so cute.
Yeah.
But the humpback whales are coming back, and the cool thing about humpback whales is they're all cataloged. So you can get to know which whale you're watching. So that's very cool.
What's in the future for you guys? Is there any plans to expand or to do anything else special that you want to give us a little tip about?
Yeah, so we are expanding. That's just the way tourism is, the trend. Keith will tell you. But we've just ordered a couple of new Zodiacs for coastal rainforest safaris because the capacity is there, the demand is there. Port Hardy's a destination because people go there and they jump on the ferry and they go up north to either Bella Coola and do that route, right? That's the kind of the international route. They jump in their RVs. So we're a natural stop and a natural thing to put in their itinerary.
Well, I'm happy that you are a natural stop for people to pop in and experience your culture. And thank you so much, Marcy, for joining us today to share with us.
Thank you very much.
Well, Sayzoons is a Métis-owned and operated experiential tourism outfitter just south of Winnipeg along the Crow-Wing Trail. You can get out on the land in Métis country to snowshoe, kick sled, play broomball, skate. You can ski, you can warm up by the fire and cook bannock on a stick if you want. You can hear stories of the Red River Métis. Myself and my son, along with Savannah Kelly from our social media team, and the great Alf Carboni, one of the camera operators here at APTN, we went to St. Pierre this past weekend to check it out for ourselves. Here's a snippet of our adventure, and our guide is Susan Kirkwood.
So Susan, what's going on here?
Yeah, so today we're in St. Pierre, Park Carillon. This is the winter park of the south. If you ever want to get out of Winnipeg and get away from all the hustle bustle, this is the park you want to come to. We have an amazing skating trail. I'm here with the Indigenous Sport and Rec Wagon that is also sponsored by the Manitoba Aboriginal Sports and Recreation Council. And my mission is to remove barriers and financial barriers and get people outside recreating year-round. So I'm here with all of the winter sports and activities that people are allowed to come and try for free. And I set up these little pop-ups all throughout de Salaberry and St. Pierre.
Now, you were saying you love winter. Not everybody can say that. I should say it's minus 20-ish right now. Beautiful sunny day, but it's not warm. And Susan's like, I love winter.
Yep.
It's the way to do it, I guess. How come? What makes you, have you always been a winter lover?
You know what? I really had to dig deep and remember the last time I was happiest outdoors, and it was when I was in my backyard around age 8 with my GT Racer and all of my ideas and imaginations. And when I was developing these programs, I recognized that to get back to that happy place,
I am speed! Oh no, you won! Ah! Victory!
I had to build up my resilience to winter again. So for the last 10 years, I've been doing nothing but getting outside regardless of the season. And with help of Workweed Factory, they equipped me with lots of really great outdoor gear. And I was just successful in being equipped for minus 50 and living up on Lake Winnipeg at the time. Nothing fazed me. And now I'm trying to pass that passion on to other people, that it just takes practice and learning how to dress and learning how to adapt, because we're human and that's what we've been doing for millennia. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were saying too, you know, it's how do you, if you live here, you're like live in well, most of Canada, but certainly Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, the longest season is winter. So you better figure out a way to embrace and love it, right?
100%.
Get back to our roots and be happy with being outside during the cold season.
100%. So it's about bringing out that sense of fun and like creativity and like how can we use snow to our advantage? Well, you know what? You don't have water to swim in, you can get through 4 feet of snow. And, you know, there's just always ways to have fun. And I love snow sculpting or making your quinzies or just finding ways to just make snow your own sculpting materials. So yeah, it's awesome. I could go on forever.
So I'm usually behind the screen for these kind of things. So this is like my first time skating in probably 3 solid years, and hopefully I don't fall on my bum today. Ready to do some
Let's
slap
go.
shots.
All right.
Here I go. Here goes nothing. Oh my god!
Bend your knees, pivot at the hips.
Yeah, that's it. Knees.
Bend your knees, bend your knees.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm bending my knees.
Well, if we can find my son, who's out here somewhere, maybe he can give us some pointers because he skates. I do not. I don't. I'm not comfortable with the stopping and the turning aspect of skating. I can usually like move in one straight line. So between the two of us, can you stop or turn?
I glide until I lose momentum.
That's me too. Okay, so then we're perfect skating partners. We're a perfect skating team here.
I have it
Yeah.
here. I mean, they were all going for me when I was starting skating.
Susan, that was incredible. Thank you so much for hosting us out here. And Sayzoons is just an incredible experience that everybody in Manitoba should come, or any visitors to Manitoba. If you're in the region, in Métis country, pop on by. Thanks,
If you ever want to
Susan.
learn how to winter, this is the place to come find us.
A special thanks to St. Pierre Mayor Ray Maynard and the council for their hospitality. What a wonderful little community to escape to. Savannah Kelly is with me now. She joined me on the adventure. Did you have fun?
I had so much fun, and I'm really grateful to our wonderful editors who did include me falling down on the ice and struggling very hard to get back up. It was, again, the first time I'd skated in a few years, so it was exciting to like get out there, and the ice was really well groomed.
Oh, so yeah.
Everything was working in our favor except my lack of skill.
I know.
But it was still a lot of fun.
I feel the same way. I'm not a skater. I haven't skated for, I think, maybe 5 times in the last 3 years, and before that I think I was like 6 when I skated, so a long time. But I have a hockey playing son who we saw on there who was like, well, I'll teach you, and I was watching, I'm like, wow, I look smoother than I feel when I'm out there. I feel like I'm very teetery, but
Yeah, you did great, honestly. And like he got his skates on and already did a full lap and checked everything out by the time we were just getting on the ice. It was incredible.
oh my gosh. Well, you're here with some social media comments. What were people saying about the Indigenous tourism industry?
Absolutely. So thanks, Melissa. There are so many Indigenous destinations, and unfortunately, we couldn't talk about all of them today, but I did want to share some extra ones with you. So in the Rockies, you can ride across the traditional territories of the Swahaptum First Nation, located in Clinton, BC, with Big Bar Guest Ranch.
Beautiful.
You can experience traditional activities and ranch life in this picturesque area. If you like to enjoy the water in a canoe, why not paddle the rivers near Kelowna and Kamloops, British Columbia with moccasin trails? Discover Silk and Shuswap territory, enjoy the landscape, and get away from the hustle and bustle of city life. In the prairies, Winnisquewin Heritage Park in Saskatoon offers a glimpse into the past with trails to discover the landscape and the Plains people that have inhabited the area for thousands of years, just a few minutes from downtown. Or if you're looking for a more nature-based experience, you can travel the waterways of the Saskatchewan River Delta near Cumberland House in northern Saskatchewan. Learn about the land and traditional practices from your Cree Métis guide. For more ideas on Indigenous destinations, visit indigenoustourism.ca. And if you want to share a destination with us, email us at infocus@aptn.ca, on Facebook at APTN News, or tweet us at APTN InFocus.
I love that. Thank you, Savannah. You know, most of us have a dream about what it would be like to spend some time in the high Arctic. You know, there's the whales, the narwhals, polar bears, vast tundra, and kind of an away from it allness that some of us, like myself, would crave. The North delivers. Well, Arctic Bay Adventures has it all in Arctic Bay, Nunavut. Mark Lewandowski works for them, and he joins us now to tell us more.
Melissa, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me on your show. It's greatly appreciated. And I love how you say the high Arctic, because you know what? You hear the Arctic, you hear the subarctic. We're the end of the road. We're the high
end
Arctic.
of the road. I love that.
Yeah,
The top man on top man or woman in Nunavut for sure. You know, what does Arctic Bay Adventures offer to visitors?
Well, you know what? You started coming off with that list, and it's absolutely the truth. We have a great population of animals, whether you're looking for narwhals, beluga, bowhead, orcas, we have it all. It goes throughout our season, which is obviously for the hardy people. We start in March, and you're going to see the seals, you're going to see the polar bears, all that other stuff. You're also going to see the narwhals. And then basically our population of birds. We just have absolutely tons of various Arctic animals, whether you want to get into walruses or various bird watching. We have it in spades. So it's pretty exciting. And outside of that, we have absolutely jaw-dropping scenery that people think it's from other parts of the world, and it's right here in Canada. And it's truly spectacular, and it's something that you just will not forget when you make the trip out.
Well, we're not just taking your word for it. As you're talking, we're seeing the video that we have from Arctic Bay Adventures. Like, the proof is there. This is just, it's stunningly beautiful, stunningly beautiful. So how long do people go up there? I guess I have a few questions. How do you get up there? Is it expensive? How long do you stay up there for? How does it break down if you're there for a week? You know, how do you break up the days? Just kind of give us the whole spiel.
Well, when people start coming up here, it's roughly in March. Now, the really interesting thing about this time of the year, you know, we're racing towards 24 hours daylight. So by the time you hit May and you're coming up to see us and you spend 9 days with us on the flow edge, you know, checking out the narwhals and the bowheads, and of course the bears, your day is 24 hours long. So it's a real bang for your buck for sure. But speaking about the dollar, not everybody gets to come to our place just simply because there's one airline. They don't have huge volume coming. So it is a rather expensive trip to make your way up. But we're trying to develop new packages to make it, you know, a lot more easier for people to come and visit us, because I'm very proud of our community. The community loves visitors. It's a very, very friendly place in the high Arctic. We have cultural performances. We have animals like crazy. We have beautiful scenery. You come in March, it's minus 20, 12 feet of ice. You come in August, we have beautiful open water in the Arctic Ocean, and we'll show you the narwhals and the orcas and everything. And icebergs.
What's the temperature there in August?
In August, we have about 10 degrees. 10, 12 degrees Celsius is what you would expect for temperature there. So just some nice light sweaters.
Yeah.
When you come up for the flow edge in May, you know, we have about -5, -10, but bring your sunscreen because you're in 24 hours daylight on the ice.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I wanted to go back to the point you were making on the price, that it is not cheap to get up there. You know, I've heard in recent years, the big cool thing for everybody to do is like, I want to go to Iceland. You know, people are leaving here to go to Iceland. You could see a lot of, you know, a lot of similar things right here in Canada and at a fraction of the price of going to Iceland. Is that right?
And it's going to be fairly comparable to Iceland, because if you think about it, where we are, we're a 6.5 hour plane ride north of Ottawa. So I mean, to go to Iceland from Toronto, you're a 6 hour flight coming up north. So I mean, we're the same distances, but we're in our country, and so with that, we are presenting some new packages to make it very comparable price wise. And so all the wonderful waterfalls and prehistoric looking scenery that people have been existing in for thousands of years. We want to share, with the rest of the world, and especially our Canadians. We're getting a lot more interest from Canada.
I would imagine, yeah. And do you have to fly to Arctic Bay from Ottawa, or are there other ways that you can get, other cities that you can fly out of to get there?
So we're serviced by Canadian North. Canadian North has hubs in Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Ottawa, so you can access us whichever way. So if you're from Eastern Canada, you're going to come through Ottawa, the Prairies, Winnipeg, and Edmonton.
So, and you were saying that there's a growing appetite for Canadians who are visiting, which I love to hear. So primarily your visitors were from abroad. Is that obviously pre-COVID? Is that accurate?
Pre-COVID, it was mostly Asian, Europeans, Americans really don't know what Nunavut is, and in fact, there's a lot of Canadians that don't even know how to pronounce the word. So our focus has been, certainly trying to come out of COVID to look towards Canada and look to have opportunities come up, from Vancouver throughout the country. So.
Well, I love that. And I love that you said that you're putting some packages together. So that's obviously something that we could all be at home looking for, whether you would be flying out to Ottawa or Winnipeg or Edmonton. It's easy to get up there.
Now, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to say, since we understand we're going to be able to manage through this COVID, post-COVID, however you want to call it, we are actually already sold out for our spring season, and we only have a little bit of availability in our summer. So it's very exciting for us. All the jobs, the economy, we need this. So it's excellent time for us.
I love it. And the money all stays there too. You've got some special people watching here today.
I got two beautiful grandbabies. I just got to say hi to Nova and Ember. Thank you for doing that, Melissa. We're big on community, and I love my family. So I just thought I'd say that.
Well, we love that you could carve out some time from your day to talk to us about Arctic Bay adventures. Can't wait. We definitely want to. It's on our list to come and visit. Thank you so much.
Come on up.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, we need to go to commercial, but still ahead, a farm featuring Ojibwe spirit horses. They were nearly extinct. They predate settlers. They are fascinating. And a Migma attraction that should be on your to-do list when you are in New Brunswick. Stay with us. Welcome back. Our journey continues now to New Brunswick and the Migma Cultural Centre in Elsipogtog. Joining us from there is Dana Millier and Anna Maria Weir. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm so happy to see you both.
Way from Elsipogtog First Nation in New Brunswick in our cultural center. Thanks for having us, Melissa.
Oh my gosh, we're so well. First of all, tell us a little bit about what's behind you there. I'm loving the baskets.
Okay. All of these baskets that you see behind us were made right here in our cultural center. We have a basket making course that we had offered last year, and partway into this year, we will be continuing with that for a time period, and then we'll be transitioning to beading. Unfortunately, because we're having a very hard time sourcing black ash, which is what we use traditionally to make our baskets.
Interesting. Okay, well, tell us a little bit more about, if we popped in, we're just so happen to be in your neck of the woods, we're out cruising around, we're like near Elsipogtog, we're like, oh, hey, look, that Migma Cultural Center. What would we experience there?
The experience, we do tours, and we also have the artisan gift shop. We have 2 different tours. The first tour would be the Heritage Path Tour, which is 2 hours long, and it's basically, we learn about the medicines in your backyard.
Oh.
So there you learn the smudging ceremony. We also have a newly constructed wigwam, teepee, and longhouses that people can experience for the tour.
And you have an extensive gift shop, I understand.
With the tour itself, we also, you're immersed into the cultural ways, and we also have a heritage path that people walk along and learn about time-honored ways and traditions of Mother Nature's gifts for both community and for self as well. So you really get a well-rounded idea of the Mi'kmaq culture with the connection from the past to present ways.
You know, give us a little idea. Where are you guys located? If, you know, for us, you know, Westerners who would be out there, what are you near? What would you be on the path of so we can plan our trip if we come your way?
Okay, so if you're traveling across Canada, oftentimes a lot of people will fly into Halifax and find their way into New Brunswick, or you can fly into Moncton, New Brunswick, which has an international airport as well. So we're Elsipogtog. We are the biggest First Nation in New Brunswick, and we are located near Rexton, Rishabuktu area. So if you happen to fly into Moncton or from Halifax into Moncton, you would find your way from there to the Rexton Rishabuktu area and to our First Nation, which is located in Elsipogtog First Nation.
How far from Moncton?
So from Moncton, it would be about a 45-minute drive. From Miramichi, about a 45-minute drive. So we're very close to two major cities. And there's lots of amenities and things to do as far as camping in the nearby area, glamping, as far as amenities for campers or anybody that wants to stay at hotels or accommodations. There's lots that are offered in and around our area.
Could you spend a whole day at the cultural center? Is it a half day? What do people generally do when they're there? Like how much time?
2.5 hours for the tour in the morning, and we offer a tour in the morning and a tour in the afternoon. 2.5 hours would be the most, but a lot of people love to stay and browse our gift shop, which is our artisan gift shop, which we have locally handmade gifts that we supply. Yeah.
I love that.
And so within the cultural center, it really comprises of three spots. We've got the artisan gift shop and also the heritage path where the tours are giving, and the cultural center, which exposes significant items and artifacts and stories that are contained within the center itself.
How long have you guys been in business?
So we opened up our doors, our first day of business on Tuesday, May the 15th, 2018. It took 3 years to get to the open point. And we were really starting to take off pre-COVID. And of course, COVID hit, and that knocked a little bit of wind out of our sails, but proved to be a great opportunity for New Brunswickers to connect with First Nations and to learn more about the true history of Canada and to learn about the culture.
I mean, there's a lot going on out east. I mean, harvesting rights, huge. They flare up there, and you think things get solved, and there's going to be a movement forward, and then it seems like we have to go through the whole thing again with the federal government and their departments like DFO and whatnot. Do you find that in this kind of time where all of those things are ongoing, is there a greater interest in Mi'kmaq culture with questions, about the history on the land pre-contact, fishing rights, harvesting rights, that sort of thing? Like, is there a greater appetite for that sort of thing now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think both Dana and I can attest to the fact that we've had much more interest, especially in the last year, with the discovery of all the children. People have been reaching out in great numbers, wondering how it is they can connect and how they can make a difference and what they can do to help. And we are big believers in education, and we believe that tourism is a very important catalyst to bridging the gap between First Nation communities and non-Indigenous people visiting, because you're coming into our community and you've made a choice to come and visit. And we also have a part of our tour, our Heritage Path tour, where people are allowed to ask questions at the end of the tour. And we let people know that this is a safe place. There's no right or wrong way to ask your questions. As long as your intention is good, everything will be fine, and the question will be fine. And we've had people literally come to tears and be very moved emotionally because of the teachings and what they're learning here. And the fact that they get to meet wonderful human beings like Dana and our knowledge keepers, and people realize that we're all the same race, the human race. We just express ourselves differently through our culture. And people get a very good a sense of that, and a deeper understanding when they leave of our traditions and our cultural ways.
I love that. Just quickly, what's in store? I know you guys have some renovations underway, so I have to ask, is there some sort of something else that's getting planned for there that you could share with potential visitors?
Well, we would like to showcase the elders of our community with some writings that they have all around the gift shop so that, people can see, well, where we come from, because it's always, like it's generations on generations of knowledge. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. I have so much appreciation for you taking time to share your little piece of heaven for us and our viewers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us, and please come and visit us at the Elsipogtog Migma Cultural Center in Elsipogtog First Nation, New Brunswick.
Love it. Madoke Farms is a short drive from downtown Ottawa. It offers seasonal celebrations and an incredible Indigenous market, and also Ojibwe ponies. Trina Mather-Smart is the woman behind this business. I talked with her earlier today. Trina, we're so thankful that you could join us today. First off, let's say, what does Madoke mean?
It means to share the land in Anishinaabe.
Which is perfect.
Yes.
How did the business come to be?
So we have a nonprofit Indigenous organization, Indigenous Experiences, and we've been operating for about 20 years. We had a cultural attraction downtown Ottawa on Victoria Island, and we produced the Summer Solstice Indigenous Festival. We had to move off the island a couple of years ago, and so we've been trying to find a suitable space to continue our Indigenous cultural experiences, and we landed on the farm opportunity.
Well, and it's about a 20-minute drive from downtown Ottawa, is that right?
Yes, not even. We've had some visitors come out from hotels with some groups, and they all said it was about 15 minutes from downtown. So we're right in the green belt of Ottawa, like directly the first farm off the 416 highway. So it's extremely convenient.
Now, what would we find at the farm?
So we just moved in October 1st. So we are very new there and really just developing. It is a massive space. We have 164 acres.
Oh, wow.
So currently what we've been doing is setting up for a series of seasonal festivals that we've been holding. And really the farm's based around our Ojibwe spirit horses. So we've created a home for the rare and endangered Ojibwe spirit horse, so we have the barn and paddocks. We do have a pavilion space, like an indoor year-round space. And we've created the marketplace, which features so far over 40 Indigenous artists and makers. And that's open year-round, 5 days a week. So in addition to kind of those key areas, we just have lots of open green space and trails.
Well, and I want to get into the marketplace too, because I want to know a little bit more about that. But I want to back up a little bit just in case. We've covered here on InFocus several times actually the story of the Ojibwe pony, but maybe people who are watching today might not know what the Ojibwe horses are, the Ojibwe spirit horses are. So if you can give us a little bit of a lesson in that, that would be wonderful.
Of course. So they're actually the full inspiration for this farm, being Ojibwe myself, and my daughters are both equestrians. And so we've been in the horse world a long time. And I saw a broadcast by Rhonda Snow, who is an artist and an Ojibwe spirit horse advocate and did a lot of the research work on the breed. And I was just so intrigued on their story. And so we traveled down to TJ Stables and met the horses, and were really inspired to find a farm space and be able to help share their story. So they used to run wild all through here, and they were, a sacred animal and very connected to our community. And in the 1970s, it went down to only 4 remaining horses, 4 mares that were rescued by some community members and taken across the ice to Minnesota. And so it was there that the work started to regenerate the breed. Mm-hmm. And there's only about 150 to 200 in existence now, but they are just a super, little horse. They're small horses. They're very hardy, for our Canadian winters. But really smart, really friendly, and inquisitive. And they've got some great features, like they've got very furry ears, really strong hooves, some markers like they have dorsal stripes down their back, Some of our herd even have like the ancient striping kind of on their legs. And so they just tell a really great story that we're able to share through Rhonda's artwork, you know, of the resilience and the kind of connection to the lands and the impacts of colonization. And so we have found them, you know, a great way to really kind of share our own Indigenous history along with theirs.
How many do you have?
So we started with 4, which we did acquire before the farm. So thankfully the farm worked out. So we did have 4. We've now recently added 2 more, one that arrived from Alberta, and we have one more pregnant mare coming in foal. So we have a baby coming this spring, summer as well.
I think one of my favorite, my favorite element of that story is that, you know, people have been conditioned to believe that there was no horses here until the settlers came, and we know from the Ojibwe pony that that's not actually the case, that these were here long before Europeans came here, and they were out roaming free, and they were used as workhorses by Ojibwe people.
That's right. That's probably the most common discussion we have when people are meeting the ponies, in that belief that, you know, horses came with the you know, with the Spanish, but you know, DNA, petroglyphs, and, you know, all sorts of you know, scientific facts now back up what our elders have always told us, and that these ponies, you know, have been here since time immemorial. So, you know, they're really a great story to be able to share that part of history.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be a horse enthusiast to appreciate a story like that. I want to get over to the Indigenous marketplace. You said you've got 40 kind of artisans, crafters. What sort of things? Is it all art? Is there food? Just give us a little idea of what we would find at the marketplace.
Yeah, so, you know, the marketplace has always been a big part of our event with Summer Solstice Indigenous Festival. We had like 75 vendors attend our last live event. And when we moved the event virtual, we did invite our vendors, and a number of them we've been selling virtually for a couple of years now. So it's great to be able to have a space. We still do have the virtual option, but in having the marketplace and being able to have a space where people can come and shop in person, you know, year round. And we have such diversity in the store, and we've really tried, you know, obviously we have so many of our talented artists who are beaters and making, you know, moccasins and mucklucks and quill boxes and, you know, all of those beautiful things. But we've tried to really source out a lot of you know, that farmers kind of component as well. And, you know, we feature Indigenous sourced fish, you know, Indigenous made honey, wild rice, syrup. And so it's a real combination, you know, a full marketplace experience, and something we expand upon whenever we do our live events, and we invite even more vendors in. So, you know, a really important kind of hub of the farm that will continue to grow with some of our own grown products in that as well.
Amazing. Tarina, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to people who are watching here today, if they're in the Ottawa area, popping by the farm. There's so much to experience there. You're doing great work.
Thank you, Miigwech.
Time for another break, but when we come back, one of my favorite aspects of traveling and tourism is the food. We're going to pop into Kookum's Kitchen in Toronto, and we chat with Chef Sean Adler from the Powwow Cafe. Stay with us. Well, we've taken you to some great destinations, but what about food? You know, Toronto, if you're in the big smoke, lots of food choices from around the world, but of course that there's traditional foods there that have always existed on this land. For some seal or sous vide elk, pan-seared rainbow trout, or sautéed foraged mushrooms. Of course, there's bannock. Why not try out Kookum's Kitchen? Chef Joseph Shawana creates amazing dishes for fine dining at its best with modern reimagining of traditional Indigenous dishes. You can visit kookumkitchen.com to check out the menu and ordering options. Chef Shawana will be introducing an Indigenous food festival in Toronto this coming summer. Well, if you're in the mood for something a little bit simpler, you can head to Kensington Market while in Toronto. Visit the Powwow Cafe. It's run by Wall of Chefs Judge Sean Adler. Chef Adler sources from local Indigenous suppliers from across Ontario and serves up Indigenous-style cuisine to lucky diners who are visiting his city. Daryl Stranger had the opportunity to chat with him about the show and about running the restaurant during a pandemic.
Chef Adler, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Now, this is your first season as a judge on Wall of Chefs. How has the experience been for you?
Wow, it was a really enjoyable experience. Getting to sit on the wall with a whole bunch of sort of my, people I looked up to growing up. So it was a real honor to be part of the panel, and hopefully I'll be back again next season.
So what were some of your favorite moments from the show this season?
Just the camaraderie among all the chefs on the wall, and really getting to see the home cooks, sweat it out, and the stress, and there's a lot of tension, that builds up when there's a lot of money on the line. So as a chef, we really feel really invested. You want to ensure that the right home cook goes home with the money. So yeah, we're really paying attention and really analyzing everything they're doing.
Now, jumping over to your restaurant here, you own the Powwow Cafe in Toronto. It's the only restaurant in the city offering up, Indian tacos, among other Indigenous-style food. What kind of inspired you to share Indigenous cuisine, with visitors to Kensington Market?
Right. So I grew up on the Powwow Trail. My mother's from Lac du Mille First Nation, just northwest of Thunder Bay. And all summer we'd be traveling through southern Ontario and eating Indian tacos with my brothers and my family, and scone dogs and corn soup and all those traditional powwow. So I really wanted to bring it. There was nobody doing that sort of cuisine in Toronto, so Kensington Market just seemed like the perfect place for it.
Now, you also have the Flying Chestnut kitchen in Eugenia, Ontario. Am I saying that right? So how has the pandemic changed the restaurant industry? How are you seeing it? Yeah, so if you would have told me before the pandemic that I'd be putting all my food into tinfoil inserts and takeout containers for a couple of years, I would have thought you were crazy. But that's sort of the reality of being a chef and a restaurateur these days. We're currently still in lockdown. We can't have anybody indoors. So we've had to do that. The word that everyone says is pivot, change the way you do things. And really, honestly, for me, I love challenges. As a chef, that's one of the biggest things of being a challenge is you are a problem solver. So if there's a problem, fix it. So basically, you just got to change the way you do things, and hopefully we get to the other side of it. But for us, we're doing a lot of takeout at the Flying Chestnut, and at Powwow, we're really focusing on catering more for institutions at this time. So, yeah. So what should aspiring chefs who may be out there and they're watching this, what should they consider if they maybe want to follow in your footsteps and open their own restaurant or just start becoming a chef? Yeah. I was really lucky. I trained under some really great chefs. David Wolfman, an Indigenous chef who was my culinary hero growing up, watching him on APTN. So you have to love what you do. If you're going to spend time in the kitchen, I can't stress that enough. It's, you don't get paid that well necessarily. You work long hours. When everyone else is playing, you're working. But for me, it's just what I love. I love being in a kitchen. I think really you have to, for an aspiring chef, they have to really love what they do, which is cooking. So that's the most important thing to become a chef is loving what you do. And from there, it's just experience. I eat out all I can, like every opportunity I can, because the more you eat out, the more you learn what other chefs are doing and flavor profiles and things like that. Well, Chef Adler, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck to all of the chefs on A Wall of Chefs this season. Much, Joe. Have a great day.
I love seeing his braids on there. Let's go now to Jesse Andrushko with some of your braids.
Thanks, Melissa. After last week's episode with Donna Desjarlais, a Kookum who was made to hide her braids during a government photo ID, we received a lot of pictures from viewers sharing their braids in solidarity. Let's take a look. First from Kashina, she shared pictures of her boys, Tough, age 5, and Mateo, age 1. Kashina is Métis Cree and the daughter of a residential school survivor. She says because of her mom's suffering, she promised herself that she would reconnect and heal her intergenerational trauma. Growing their hair long is helping them reclaim and reconnect to their culture. Thank you for sharing, Kashina. Here's one from Maggie in Sandy Bay First Nation. MJ sending this next shot here. Great stuff. From Candace, she says her dad is Métis and was the one to braid her pigtails growing up. Now she's the one who braids her oldest kid's hair. Passing on tradition. Love it. Thank you, Candace. Robert from Calgary shared his braid. With Métis heritage, Robert is a Michael Jackson tribute artist after overcoming homelessness and alcohol addiction. He's extremely proud of his braid and long hair since he never had hair growing up, battling leukemia on 3 separate occasions. Thank you for sharing your story, Robert. Donna sent pictures of her grandkids. Beautiful family. Great stuff. Lastly, from Matthew, a member of the Lake Babine Nation in British Columbia. Awesome stuff. Thank you to everyone that shared their pictures. If you want to share your braids, use the hashtag #LeaveMyBraidsAlone, and we'll take a look on Twitter. Back to you, Melissa.
That's your show, putting Indigenous tourism in focus. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Have a great afternoon.